oh my, I just realized something. Not only am I a Gaysian, I'm also an openly Takei member of Congress. Ladies and gentlemen, the fabulous George Takei.
Thank you very much, Mark. That was a fabulous introduction. You know, Mark is on the House Committee on Science, Space, and Technology. So in the 21st century, Mark is preparing the launching pad for the universe I inhabited in the 23rd century that you saw on Star Trek. So thank you, Mark, for building a good, strong launching pad. I can't tell you how wonderful it is to be here, surrounded by a room full of dynamic change agents. And that's what you all are, change agents. Because when the task force started, way back, shortly after the galvanizing effect of Stonewall, it was a different kind of world. And it's hard to believe that in 40 years, our society has been transformed to the point of almost non-recognition. This year was a landmark year for LGBT civil rights. In the summer, as Ray recited for us, the Supreme Court of the United States ruled that marriage equality was constitutional in those states where it is recognized. We had 13 states and the capital of the United States, Washington, D.C. And this week, as Ray recited, on Monday, New Jersey joined us. On Wednesday, Illinois joined us. Yay for that. And yesterday, on Friday, both houses of the Hawaii legislature passed the marriage equality bill in Hawaii, and it will be signed next week by Governor Neil Abercrombie enthusiastically. And it's very appropriate that this happened this year, 20 years since it began. And many people may not know it, but the idea of marriage equality was ignited in Hawaii 20 years ago. Their judiciary ruled that marriage equality is constitutional. However, tragically, the people voted and they slammed the window on marriage equality in Hawaii, and they've been working at it, advocating strongly for the last 20 years, and at long last, yesterday, they got marriage equality. So bravo to them. And in parallel with that, 20 years ago, a bill called Employment Non-Discrimination Act, ENDA, was introduced 20 years ago. It's been a long trek from 20 years ago until now, but just on Thursday, the U.S. Senate, with a bipartisan vote of 64 to 32, passed ENDA. But only half the job is done. We've got more to do because it's got to go to the House. And House Speaker John Boehner has said he's going to put up a roadblock. But we are determined. We are change agents, and we are going to make sure that that bill is introduced on the floor for an up or down vote. That's only the democratic way. It's a fair way. It's a decent thing to do. ENDA must pass. This is a bill that's very near and dear to me, but as I'm sure it is to all LGBT people. Our work is precious to us. Our work defines us. We make our livelihood that way, and that can be wiped away with one homophobic employer. A life can be destroyed. I understand that profoundly, because when I was starting out my acting career, I knew that it was a high-risk arena, and it was even more risky for an Asian American actor. And it was crazy for me to let it be known that I'm gay to boot. I couldn't hide the fact that I'm Asian American. It was visibly obvious. But I could do that with the fact that I was gay. I was silent on that because I passionately wanted my acting career. I was active in the social justice arena. I marched with Dr. Martin Luther King. I raised my voice in song. I did a civil rights musical titled Fly Blackbird. It was an important part of my early social justice activity. And when the Vietnam War started out, I was active in the anti-war movement. I was a member of the EIPJ, or the Entertainment Industry for Peace and Justice, working alongside people like Donald Sutherland and Jane Fonda. And in 1972, I came to Miami as an official delegate to the Democratic National Convention as an anti-war delegate, and we put George McGovern's name in nomination for the presidency of the United States. In the 70s, the movement began.
I testified before the Congressional Commission gathering information on the internment. I was active in all those social justice issues, but I was silent on the issue closest to me because
I lived with a fear, a constant, ever-present fear. Fear of being exposed and losing my passion. I am fulfilled as an actor, and that could be taken away from me. And the price for living with that fear as an actor was intensified because I was pursuing a career in the most publicly exposed business that I can go into, the ever-present fear of exposure. And it took another actor for me to come out. In 2005, a precedent-setting event occurred in California. Both houses of our legislature, the Senate and the Assembly, passed the marriage equality bill. It was a landmark event. Massachusetts had marriage equality, but it came from the judicial process. And all that was necessary for that bill to become the law of the state of California was the signature of our governor, who happened to be a movie star, Arnold Schwarzenegger. When he ran for governor, he ran by saying, "I'm from Hollywood. I've worked with gays and lesbians. Some of my best friends are." All the cliches. And I thought, as a friend of the LGBT community, he would sign it. When he vetoed it, playing to his conservative Republican base, I was seething. My blood was boiling. But I was silent. And that night, Brad and I watched the 11 o'clock news and saw these young people pouring out onto Santa Monica Boulevard, venting their rage. And there we were, comfortable at home in bed. We felt hypocritical. We discussed it, and we decided I must speak out on that veto. And so for the first time, I spoke to the press as a gay man, and I blasted Schwarzenegger's veto. And from that day on, Brad and I have been active in all civil rights, social justice issues, including the ones closest to me. Equality for gays, lesbians, bisexual, and transgender people. And because we have so many change agents all over America, but because the task force spearheaded the effort from the very beginning with loud vocalization, with dramatic visualization, they gave leadership, and now we have this transformed world. But we still have a long ways to go, because a little over 1/3 of the states, 16 states and the capital of the United States, has marriage equality. 2/3 have people hungering for that same equality, but are denied it. We have work to do. ENDA may have passed the Senate, but we have the enormous challenge of the House of Representatives. We've got pressure to put onto Boehner and make sure that it is brought to the floor. We've got work to do. When I hear of young people who are bullied and made to feel worthless, we've got work to do. When I hear of young people who come out to their parents and they are kicked out of their homes and their families, an unnatural outrage, we've got work to do. And when we hear of young people who think life is so hopeless that they start doing damage to themselves, we've got work to do, important work to do, to make our society a better society. And I am an optimist, and I particularly take my optimism from a recent California field poll, which found that 78% of young people below the age of 39 support equality for the LGBT community. 78% of young people. And they are soon going to become more mature and become the dominant generation of our society. And I particularly love young straight couples, because they are going to be making the gay babies of tomorrow. And for them, we've got work to do. I thank you for this recognition, but I must say I share this with the one person who has been my partner in my activism, my husband, my love, the pillar of my life, Brad Takei. So on behalf of both of us, I accept this both with pride and humility, and with great, deep gratitude for the National Gay and Lesbian Task Force for having brought us to this amazing year, this landmark year of 2013. Thank you very much.